Welcome back, everybody, to Exit 99 Sports. As always, Caleb Deloach, he's Cody Hinkebine, and Cody, we've pretty much wrapped up regular season basketball. Little asterisk for Jackson and Notre Dame Girls, but postseason is pretty much officially here across the board now in Southeast Missouri, across the entire state.
Yeah, everybody's playing, waiting for March, and the playoffs are here in Missouri athletics.
Yeah, and this past week, classes 4, 5, and 6 wrapped up their regular season games, some senior nights, and some makeup games from some of the snow we had. And then classes 1 through 3 played all their district tournaments. So those teams are already now into the state bracket. So that's pretty much how we're going to go through it. We're going to talk about those teams that still had regular season games, and we'll talk about some of the smaller schools, even though they're maybe a little bit outside of our area or not something we talk about as much. But mention all of them, and get into Class 4, 5, 6 postseason. We'll start with the boys. I guess we can kind of allude to the Class 3 District 2 tournament. The one team here in Jackson that is in Class 1, 2, or 3 is Saxony. They went on the road to Greenville, playing Greenville at Greenville in their district. Coming up just short, lost 58-48. And Saxony finishes their season 7-18. Obviously not something you won. Tough stretch for those guys, tough year, but they do bring a good amount back, I know, in first year under Coach Scott. And I also saw they got a new athletic director coming in next season. So we'll see how they look like next year, what goes on in the offseason. Hopefully they can improve and get back a little bit more in the win column there. And then Tuesday night, I guess I'll mention Notre Dame played Dexter. They blew out Dexter. That was pretty much the decider in Class 4 District 1 of who was going to be the 1 seed in that. They had not played yet this season. Notre Dame had beaten Kennett, who kind of felt like the third best, who felt like they were up there in that tier, but Notre Dame had already blown them out. So Notre Dame hosted Dexter and crushed them 67-43. Just left no doubt. They just were the much, much better team throughout the entire ball game. And speaking of Kennett, they hosted Cape Central in what was Cape's last game of the season, regular season. Cape went down there, came out with a victory. It was a close one, 50-41. Stayed pretty close. Without the scoring of Tyshandre Edwards, the offense has been a little bit tough to come by for Cape Central. The defense continues to play well, but again, it's tough. They have, one good guy, Dyson Watson, who can put up 20, 25 a game. And they have good shooters around them, and if those guys are hitting shots, they can be competitive. We saw that. They played Jackson really close earlier in the year. Cape comes out of there 50-41 with the victory, and then the game that you called, Cody, the Indians drop a game, maybe a little bit of a surprise to some people, 66-57 against Seckman. I was not there, so Cody, I'll let you take it over. Tell me everything that happened kind of in that game, and how did Jackson lose this game, a team they haven't lost to in a long time? Yeah,
kind of a big game there. Determined the seedings for district, obviously, Seckman and Jackson near the top of their district, but two defensive teams came out, offenses galore in the first quarter. It was 19-18 after one. You knew it was going to be a back and forth, a little bit up and down game, and then Jackson kind of just came out flat in the second quarter. That was kind of the difference maker, as a little bit lax on the defensive end, to be honest, something you don't see out of Jackson much, but I believe Seckman started the second quarter there on a 9-2 run. Coach Toma, a little frustrated, pulls some guys from the game, kind of rotating through the bench, and Seckman kind of coast to a 9-point victory there. Jackson kind of tried to cut into it. It got as high as a 15-17 there in the second half. Jackson cut it down towards the end, but really the final score a little bit closer than the game was there at the end. But Jackson, like I said, maybe a chance to get revenge in the coming week.
Yeah, they're in the same district. We'll talk about they're going to be on the same side. And, something I knew beforehand is, according to Misha's records, Seckman had never beaten Jackson before. Jackson coming in was undefeated. Was a lot of those coming in district play. I know my senior year was the first time we have recorded playing against Seckman, and it's been all Jackson in that matchup since then. Did you kind of feel, that on the Seckman side? Like it felt like this was maybe more of an important game to them than it might have kind of been to Jackson, even though it was Jackson's last home game. I feel like Seckman was a little bit more
Yeah, they
motivated.
came out ready to play. Definitely increased the pace a little bit. You could see that out of the gate, ready to play. You thought that Jackson may be able to wear them down. As a Jackson fan, you've seen them start a little slow in the first halves, but Jackson just never able to gain the traction, get back in it once Seckman pushed the lead to double digits.
Yeah. Well, and like we said, there'll be potentially a rematch in the future of that one. And then Wednesday night, Notre Dame played again. You hear that a lot. A lot of Notre Dame and Jackson playing this past week. Notre Dame hosted Farmington. Farmington, a boogaboo type team that's really gotten a lot of Southeast Missouri teams this year. And they did so again. They beat Notre Dame by 10, 63-53. Notre Dame played them well. They played them pretty close throughout the ball game. Farmington just a little bit more down the stretch. And I believe that did it for Notre Dame's regular season. And they go into their district as the 1 seed, especially because they've already knocked off, Dexter and Kennett and Fredericktown in that district already. So a solid season, solid into the season. Farmington, a very good team. They're going to be the number 1 seed in their district. And so it was definitely, they were definitely favored to win, I would say, but Notre Dame has played well. They keep playing good teams close. They played Borgia close. I thought they had a chance to be really competitive. They were, but just not enough down the stretch. Thursday, no Kate Jackson games, but notable. Sykeston hosted Father Tolton, beat them 70-58. Sykeston just looked really good right now. We're going to talk about their district in a minute. They look nearly unbeatable. They are crushing people right now. I mean, I think this was their closest game, winning by 12 in about a month and a half. So they've been crushing people. And then the team that Jackson saw Friday, Lutheran St. Charles, lost to Poplar Bluff. And then, Cody, I'll let you take the floor again. You had that game up at Lutheran St. Charles. Jackson playing their last regular season game of the year. How'd that one go?
Yeah, Jackson goes on the road. Never really in doubt. Jackson played well. 3 good players on the Lutheran St. Charles team. They were the only 3 players to score through the first 3 quarters. But Jackson did very well locking down on the defensive end. Got a little sloppy there in the third quarter. Jackson with multiple turnovers. The press kind of sped him up a little bit, but Jackson kind of able to coast to a 14-point victory there, 58-44. As you mentioned, last regular season game, Jackson gets to 20 wins on the season.
Right. Yeah, that's a good accomplishment. I looked that up earlier in the year. Jackson, they did it a couple years ago when they went to the Final Four, but this is only the second time in a decade, really, that they've hit that 20-point mark, or 20-win mark. Sorry, not something that's easy to do, and they play a really tough schedule every year. So yeah, good job finishing out the season, hitting 20 wins before district play. So great season by the Indians here in the regular season. And we'll kind of do a season post-mortem maybe after all the playoffs and everything are over, eventually get into all that. But good season by the Indians, coming up with a victory on the road. And then we'll go over to the girls' side from this past week. Notre Dame went up to Park Hill Central, and Park Hill Central beat them 68-54. Park Hill Central, a tough team. They played Jackson close at Jackson earlier in the year. I saw them there. And, they're coming off of a state championship run themselves. So a good team, tough loss for Notre Dame. They finished the year with a very, very tough schedule down the stretch. And then here at Jackson, they hosted Dexter and blew out Dexter. It was a rough game. It really kind of showed kind of where Jackson girls are at relative to maybe the rest of the SEMO Conference, Southeast Missouri. As a whole, the one note I made about the game, Dexter did not even get a field goal attempt until 2 minutes into the ball game. And that was, I think, the first time they crossed midcourt. Jackson kind of came out in the full court press, turnover, layup. The game was over in about 2 minutes. Dexter didn't make their first shot until there was 4 minutes left in the first quarter. So it was over with very early in that one. Jackson won 63-24, even scoring across the board. Nobody really stood out. Everybody's around 8 to 7, 10 so points here and there. And then I guess I mentioned on Monday, a little further north, St. Vincent. You probably say the best team in Southeast-ish Missouri, going up to Perryville. It's because they beat Jackson. That is the only loss Jackson has on the season. They went on the road to a good Cardinal Ritter team and actually got blown out 67-41. So that was a little bit of a surprise, kind of the margin in that one. I know you were at the St. Vincent game, and they played Jackson. Cody, kind of what do they like? What do they show? What do they have out there?
Yeah, length and athleticism, to say the least. Turn you over, hard to throw over them or through them. Really locked down on the defensive end. Obviously, the height, a factor. The Rubel girls, very good. But yeah, above average on the defensive end. Make it hard to score inside.
And then Tuesday, one game at North County. Saxony went up there. Heartbreaker. They played it very, very close. Lost 47-45. It's a good chance for them to get a win. Unable to do so, however, up at North County. And then Wednesday, Notre Dame, as I mentioned, tough schedule. Lutheran St. Charles boys, not great, under 500. Their girls, incredible. They're led, the entire team is phenomenal. They've got size, athleticism. Their best player is going to Kansas State. I think she was a 5-star, has offers everywhere. So they were very, very talented. It was actually a close game after one quarter, but then Lutheran St. Charles really just laid it on. They got in the press, turned Notre Dame over a decent amount, and won that one 65-24. And Thursday, a couple more games. Notre Dame played again. They had a crazy busy week. They went to Farmington and ended their season with a victory there up at Farmington, a big win. I'm pretty impressed at the margin of victory. 57-32. Farmington's a solid team. And so Notre Dame finishes off the regular season on a high note, going up to Farmington. And then conversely, Saxony played a good Potosi team, lost that one 77-53 to finish out their regular season. And then I lied. Notre Dame played one more time against St. Pius, the 10th. I thought it was over. No, they played 4 games a week.
Yeah, went 1-3 this week. Tough week for Notre Dame girls.
Yeah, they lost by 21 to St. Pius X. They're led by a pretty solid player. I think her last name Blankenship. Scored her 1,000th career point. Kind of killed them inside a little bit. And then Jackson finished off their week with a couple wins. I mentioned they beat Dexter early. They played Sykeston, beat them 75-20. Just a dominant win. I wrote this down. It was 12-11 with 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. Cody, math. 12-11, then the 75-20.
Yeah, so they outscored them 63-9.
63-9. The rest of the game. Insane. It was the entire team just getting steal, fast break layups, easy open shots, another blowout in the SEMO Conference. And then the Indians finished playing a tough Hazelwood West team. They had 18 wins coming into the game, Hazelwood West it is. They are led by 3 freshman girls that are all super talented. One of them 6'3", one of them's 5'11", averages like 25 points a game. So I expected this to be a pretty competitive game. They're long, athletic. It was not. Jackson came out, same story, different book, just suffocated them with the press again. And a little bit different this night was the backcourt of Kate Deck and Cameron Alsdorf did most of the heavy lifting. And specifically, shout out to Kate Deck had 22, and then shout out to Cameron Alsdorf, out of her mind. She came out, she had 21 points in the first quarter to finish with 31 on the game. It was crazy high scoring. It was 54-27 at halftime. That is a final score most nights in high school basketball. And I said Alsdorf, she had 28 at halftime, closed out with a few there in the second half. It was a running clock. Never in doubt after about the first couple minutes of the game. And yeah, this Jackson team finishes the year with just one loss in the regular season. Like we mentioned, losing to St. Vincent in the championship of the Christmas tournament. An incredible year. This is a team I've really started to have so much fun watching. They've played maybe lesser opponents at time, and when they do that, they completely bury them, blow people out. Just steals and layups at will. They've played good, tough opponents here, there. It doesn't matter. They've been winning all these ball games this second half of the season. They've played a very tough schedule. They played a lot of state-ranked teams. And it hasn't mattered. Like I said, they've done it different ways. Different players have stepped up throughout. And they just keep winning. And we'll see how long they can kind of take that winning into the postseason.
Yeah, they averaged 73 points a game through 3 games this week. and probably could have scored more than that if they weren't all three running clock. So, yeah, very good on the defense and offensive end.
And so we'll move into some of the postseason play. We'll quickly, like I mentioned earlier, we'll touch on the smaller classes. There were some very, very entertaining districts, some very good games that took place this last week in classes 1 through 3. Cody, you can go ahead and
so on the boys' side, as you look at the district championships Friday night, Richland out of Essex beat Delta 80-67. This is Class 1, closest one kind of to us in Class 1, and then switch over to Class 2, District 3. Puxico defeats Charleston. Kind of eye-opening for a lot of people. 25-point win for Puxico over what we thought was a pretty good Charleston team here ending the season. They had some close games, took Jackson to overtime, but Puxico shows what they're made of there with a 25-point victory, and they will face Valley. Not the Valley Catholic, just Valley. They beat Meadow Heights in District 4, 55-43. So we've seen Meadow Heights a few times, but
yeah, that was the Puxico Charleston game was wild. Like Puxico jumped out, I want to say 20-6 at the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, they took it to them. Charleston cut into it. They brought it back to like 6 or so. They went on a decent run. And then as soon as they did, Puxico finished the half just on a huge run themselves, knocking down shots, playing great defense as they have all season, holding Charleston to 42. Yep. Also earlier in that tournament, shout out to Oran, they upset Bernie, but then they got beat there by Charleston. But yeah, Puxico, man, they look, poised to make a little bit of a run potentially here. They're in a good spot. They're playing Valley. I don't know too much about Valley, I'm going to be honest, but I have seen Puxico now a few times, and I do like what I see, and I kind of trust their team's going to show up. They played tough games, they played tough opponents, and they keep winning, keep playing winning basketball. So it's been fun to watch them so far throughout this season. We'll see how far they go into the playoffs. You said they're going to be playing Valley, and who could they potentially be?
Yeah, so
matching up after that.
That would be tomorrow night, March 3rd. So top team on the bracket would host, so that would be Puxico, but I believe they're playing that one. Is that the one at Bloomfield?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they moved that. So then potentially the winner of Hayti and South Iron, those games, the quarterfinals would be March 7th. So then the winner of that little 4-team pool there would go to state. So would be pretty cool.
Yeah, they're in a good spot
to see them match up. So yeah, at least one home game, and then potentially getting to, Hayti South Iron winner, and the winner there goes to state.
And I do want to mention also in Class 2, District 1, you said they're going to be playing Hayti. That was a kind of a crazy district.
Yep.
Neelyville, the 5 seed, actually made a run all the way to the championship game. And Hayti beat Neelyville by 2 in overtime. So a crazy district. I mean, it was a loaded district, honestly. Like Campbell was the 1 seed. They've been fantastic all season. Zenith Hornersville, Neelyville. It was genuinely a district with 5 teams that could have won. So a fun district. I mean, it's the Boot Heel Conference, basically, and those teams have been very good all year, kind of beating up on each other. And South Pemiscot, who went to the Final Four last year, brought most of their team back, got knocked out by Hayti in the semifinals. So a good district, and shout out to Hayti. They're a tough team. They're fun. They get up and down. So that matchup, potentially, if Hayti is able to knock off South Iron, we'll see how that goes. South Iron, one of those teams that is there every year. They've been one of the best teams in smaller classifications the last 5-10 years or so. I'm looking at their numbers right now. They won 3 straight state titles in 21, 22, 23. They won 27 games last year. They won 22 this year. So yeah, that'll be a tough matchup for Hayti, and then potentially a tough matchup if Puxico and them meet up. So it should be a good one. And then I know, Cody, in Class 3, that was another one that was very talked about. A couple of games, Class 3, District 1, and in District 2 were both loaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so District 1, East Prairie, the 2 seed, actually upsets Caruthersville, a team we saw covering Jackson. Mm-hmm. So East Prairie wins 80-72, and then Woodland beats Scott City, that one at Greenville. As you get down to the wire, I saw where Scott City, a 1-point lead. Woodland has the ball, 14 seconds to go. believe it was Calvin
I
Layton.
think it was Calvin Layton, yeah.
Comes down, makes a bucket to put Woodland up by 1, and then Scott City misses their chance at the buzzer. So Woodland defeats Scott City 50-49. So as you look ahead to sectionals, East Prairie will play Woodland in Class 3 for our area. Those two kind of closest to us, and I believe that game is tomorrow night also.
Yeah, and that was that district, District 2 there in Class 3. I think you and I have been talking about that a little bit, at least alluding to it almost all season. Like, we knew how good Scott City was. We knew how good Woodland was. And, the game kind of lived up to it. Woodland led most of that game. They came out hot early, if memory serves me correct, and then Scott City clawed all the way back, like you said. I think took their very first lead of the game with 14 seconds. Yeah, Calvin Layton, the hero. Maybe the guy you didn't expect there to get the ball and drive coast to coast. That's what he did. He got the inbound pass. Nobody cut him off, got to the rim, laid it up. So shout out to him. I mean, that is what that team has. They've got guards everywhere. They've got 5'11" to 6'3" kids that can score, that can defend, and they got a big victory. So shout out to Woodland. I think that was Woodland's first district title ever, is what I heard. Also East Prairie. I think East Prairie and Woodland won their first ever district titles. Now they're going to be playing each other in the next round. So
yeah, tough season kind of for Scott City as they end the season there 23-4. Their 4 losses to Jackson, Cape Central, and then to Woodland twice. So very good season ends for those. But they're young. Got a lot of kids up and coming. They'll be good for a few years. But tough loss there for them as Woodland was the 1 seed. They move on.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, Class 1, you have Risco and Richland. That'll be a good matchup. Those two teams play each other every year, play each other close. Risco seems kind of like this is their year type of team maybe this year, so we'll see. They've been good. They played really well all season. They just beat Woodland on this past Monday, actually. Those teams just played a kind of a one-off, and Risco won that. So Risco has a chance. They're going to be playing, potentially, if they win, Chadwick, who's the defending state champion, in the quarterfinals. So see how that one goes. You said Class 2, super interesting. Hayti, South Iron up at the top, and then Puxico Valley. So good matchup there. And then, Class 3, East Prairie and Woodland. I think it's something you and I talked about before the show. The winner of that one will be favored to win their quarterfinal matchup, regardless who comes out, and then make a trip to potentially to the Final Four. Yeah,
the other side of that is Jefferson out of Festus, and then Soldan International Studies. So, the East Prairie Woodland game, March 3rd, Monday, and then the winner would play March 7th in the quarterfinals for a chance to go to state the following weekend.
Yep, that will be very, very good games. If you're watching this, should be coming out also Monday, so go check out those ball games. Then we can go ahead and get into some of the bigger schools, the ones you and I are seeing a lot of, covering the most of so far this season. Actually, I'll be remiss if I didn't point out the girls' side. Delta, they destroyed their district. They won by about 20 in the district title game. They'll be playing Chadwick. Another tough matchup. Chadwick girls very solid as well. 24-4. So that'll be a big time game over at Delta. In Class 2, Malden won theirs in District 1. District 2 is Neelyville. And then that very, very good St. Vincent team coming out of District 3 will be playing St. Paul Lutheran, who I saw. Just shout out to them. First ever district title as well. It'll be a good matchup. St. Vincent potentially winning that game and then facing a very, very good Malden or Neelyville team out of the Boot Heel. Both very scrappy, very tough matchup there. And Portageville, a team we've seen play some local teams a little bit. They're very talented. They'll be playing Woodland girls in Class 3 sectionals. So Woodland, this is their 4th district title in 5 years, so they've been a monster over the years. So a lot of good basketball, a lot of teams here in Southeast Missouri in the lower classifications. I think Cody has a legitimate chance to make Final Four runs. Yeah,
would be interesting seeing, as you mentioned there in Class 2, a Neelyville St. Vincent possible matchup to go to state. For those of you that don't know, if you're on the Misha website, if you're looking at some of these brackets, odd number years, so the team on top of the bracket kind of hosts. So it's like districts 1, 3, 5, they're going to host here in the sectional. So May not be at their home school. As I mentioned, some of the schools like St. Vincent, I think they're going to play at Perryville, but they're going to host in their town.
Yep. Yeah, and that's cool. I know those people want the home court advantage, obviously, but I like kind of the opening up to get to a bigger school and playing somewhere that more people can get out and kind of see those games, which can be hit or miss sometimes. Some of the gyms, get to host some of these things, only hold a couple hundred people. So I like seeing them move to a couple bigger schools just to get a few more people in to watch those games. And I guess now we can jump in, talk about classes 4 through 6. So we'll start on the boys' side. Class 4, District 1, I mentioned earlier, Notre Dame is going to be the 1 seed, and that's going to be played at Fredericktown. And, Cody, I believe Notre Dame has beaten the top 3 seeds or top 4 seeds or the 3 seeds below them, that is, in this district already. So, we can talk about it a little bit more, but I definitely feel like Notre Dame is a heavy favorite at this point to come out.
Yeah, so their first round games will be Monday. Notre Dame gets the bye as the 1 seed, so they will play in the district semifinal on March 5th. That game's slated for 5 o'clock, I believe. Yeah, 5 o'clock, and then the championship game Friday night on the 7th. Yeah, as you mentioned, at Fredericktown. So definitely a winnable district for Notre Dame, as you pointed out. If they were to win, you go to the next week. District 2 kind of bracket has Potosi and Park Hill Central in it. So Notre Dame in Class 4, a winnable district.
Yeah, they have a path, like you said, to the Final Four. I wrote down the teams in their district tournament field. Notre Dame has played Fredericktown, Kennett, Dexter. Given they played Fredericktown, I think, like their very first game of the season. So if they do face off in the semifinals, it could be a different game, could be a closer game. It will be at Fredericktown. Playing in the postseason on the road is definitely a tough task. But these are the scores from those 3 games. They beat Fredericktown 66-28. They beat Kennett 63-38. They beat Dexter 67-43. So they have handily beaten everybody in their district throughout this season. And Notre Dame looking for their first district title since the 2019-2020 season, where they actually got to the Final Four before it got canceled due to COVID. So that was a tough break. But yeah, Notre Dame, chance to make a run here. Obviously, Dexter are 12-12 as the 2 seed. All right, obviously, like I said, got beat by Notre Dame. They went 2-4 in the SEMO Conference. They beat Kennett in overtime like a week and a half ago. So definitely some teams that are familiar with each other up there at the top of that bracket. And then I'll actually just jump over to the girls' side on Class 4 District 1. That's where Saxony is. Saxony is the 5th seed out of 5 teams in that district. I guess you could say a tough district, especially because of the fact that Donovan is in the district. Donovan's state ranked throughout the year. They were a team that had a bad taste in their mouth from last season. They went undefeated throughout the year, lost to Notre Dame in the district title game, in girls basketball that is, at Notre Dame last year. So they've come back with a vengeance, you can say. They lost to Jackson, I know. They only have 2 losses on the season. It'll be an uphill battle for the Saxony Lutheran girls. As we mentioned, they finished the regular season 3-21. They'll be taking on a good Kennett team who they did lose to already. Once again, I'll say it every time Kennett comes up. Go watch Kennett play basketball. They have a girl named Elise Edwards. She's like 5'2". She's scored 1,000 points in a year and a half. She's incredible. She averages like 35 points a game. So go check her out. And Saxony had a chance to maybe pull off an upset, a team that's already beaten them, but they do have to go on the road to Kennett. So a long drive down there for the Crusaders. But out of that district, I will have to lean Donovan coming out there on that girl side. And then switch back over to the boys in maybe the most compelling, at least coming into the year, Cody, Class 5 District 1. What do you think about the bracket over there?
Yeah, obviously Farmington's the host, a pretty good advantage being the 1 seed and hosting your district, but the number 1 team in the class, Sykeston, just happens to be the 2 seed because Farmington has beat them. So Very good district. You have Cape Central as the 3 seed, so should be entertaining to say the least.
Yeah, and it's just it kind of sucks for Cape. They lost Tyshandra Edwards middle of the year, who is the leading scorer. You can say the most talented overall player on the team, the tallest player on the team. It's kind of the way, unfortunately, kind of broke there. Had a hand injury, going to be out here. And as you mentioned, Farmington has beaten next 2 best teams. I think they've beaten everybody in this district. Actually, I've kind of paid attention throughout the year. They beat Cape Central at Farmington, 72-62. They beat Sykeston, also at Farmington, 81-74. They've beaten North County. They beat Hillsborough. So yeah, they beat Festus. They've taken everybody in this district to the woodshed. But Cody, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think who do you think might actually come out of this district?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Sykeston playing very well. Even at Farmington, a very tough place to play. You would probably, I think, would have to give the edge this time to Sykeston. Obviously, Murray not on the team anymore, but they're kind of gelling at the right time. They're pretty healthy, and I probably would pick Sykeston out of this district.
Yeah, they've been on a tear. I guess we can talk about specifically, Cape is going to play Festus in the first round. Festus is a decent team. They're 15-10 at the end of the season. The one, you and I saw them play, Jackson demolished them. They shut down the best player on the team, who's Drew Johnson, the coach's son. He is a big-time shooter. I looked up one little stat of his. So I can tell you, if you're a Cape fan, you're going to watch this Festus team play. Drew Johnson's going to shoot the ball a lot. He's going to shoot a ton of pull-up threes, come off of ball screens, transition threes. He has attempted 146 threes on the season, and he is shooting 44% on nearly 150 shots from 3 this season. So they are a team you don't want to let get hot. I know also in that game against Jackson, Aiden Clifton, who's their big man, who is having a good year. He'd gotten like crazy. He played like 2 minutes in the entire game. He was in crazy foul trouble. So it'll be a tough test for Cape Central, but I would lean their direction. And then, the rematch with Sykeston, no Tyshandra Edwards, probably a tough hill to climb if you're Cape.
Very much so.
And then flipping over to the girls' side, I believe Cape Central is the only, Cape area team, I guess you could say, in that district. And they'll be actually hosting that district over at Cape Central. It is a good district. Throughout the year, I hadn't really paid attention to who was in the district. I had talked a few times how, Cape had beaten a couple teams that were pretty solid, maybe a little bit better than them, in my opinion. And I thought they might be able to, make some noise in their district. But I looked up their district a couple weeks ago, and it is a very good district. Like, the worst team in the district is DeSoto. They're 11-15. So there's no, 5-20 teams in this district. Hillsborough's at the top. They've won 23 games. Festus has 20 wins. Then a lot of teams they're hovering around the 500 mark. So Cape Central got the 7 seed. They're going to play Festus. But it is at home. So, maybe they might be able to make some noise, pull off a little bit of an upset, playing on their home floor. That always makes a big difference, especially in postseason play. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Those games are when? March 6th. So that is going to be Tuesday.
Yeah, the girls that'd be Thursday.
Oh, that's Thursday.
Yeah, so the girls are Thursday, and then the 8th would be Saturday then for them.
Okay, yeah, so.
A little bit different.
Yeah, I'll say if you're maybe haven't been plugged into postseason play, I know a decade ago or even less, they used to play boys and girls games or the boys and girls districts on the same court, same host site. That is no longer the case. They split them up. So, like you said, Class 5 District 1, the girls are playing at Cape. The boys are up at Farmington.
Yep.
And then, same Class 6, they're playing at Lindbergh for girls. And boys are, we'll kind of get into it, kind of a mixed bag, but there's going to be at SLU for the championship night. So that's something a little bit different.
Yeah, so on the boys' side, you have their district tournament on Wednesday, Friday, and then championship Monday. So a little different there. And then on the girls' side, you would, for Class 5 and 6, you would have Thursday, Saturday, and then championship Tuesday. So a Little championship games through the week, a little different there in Class 5 and Class 6.
Yeah, and I know they try to do it to where teams that are going to be in the same class or whatever can, get to both games, but playing a championship game on a Monday is stupid. I think it's dumb. And a Tuesday, also dumb. Class 6, District 1. I'll start on the girls' side. That Jackson did get the 1 seed there. And obviously, they're 22-1. They've had an incredible season. I can't mention enough times like how much fun this is. I know I'm online. It's fun to make fun of girls basketball. And as a person who has had 3 younger sisters that have all played basketball, volleyball, etc., I've been to a lot of games that are tough to watch. I understand. I get it. But they are so much fun to watch. They hit shots. They play great offense. They play crazy defense. They are full court pressing people. They're getting up and down the court. They are so talented. Like I said, the backcourt, Kate Deck, Cameron Alsdorf, every game they're hitting shots. They're playing defense. They pass well. They handle it well. Those two are phenomenal every night. The front court is good. You got Addison Henderson, only a freshman. Lauren Dory, a freshman. They're so much fun. Lauren Dory making threes now at like 6'1". That's crazy. They are super talented. They're so much fun to watch. Since they are staggered, go make the trip to Lindbergh. It's a nice gym, pretty good facilities, everything. Very nice school. Go up there, see them play, and appreciate this. They are 22-1. They're playing in a tough district with Jorge Zoo. That is the 2 seed. Those teams played each other earlier in the year, went to double overtime. Jackson won at Jorge Zoo. Go check this team out. This is not something that happens a lot. 22-1 is crazy. And the Jackson girls haven't been to a Final Four early 2000s?
Maybe 03 or something like that. Yep.
So, this is a team, it's going to be tough. Class 6 and girls basketball is loaded. So it's going to be a tough route regardless. But this is a team that has a chance to really, really make a run, in my opinion.
Yeah, going to be some tough times for the games. March 6th, they play at 6:30 against Melville. And then if they win that one, it would be a 12:30 game on Saturday, the 8th. And then, as I mentioned, championship game Tuesday at 5:30 at Lindbergh. Not ideal.
How inconvenient can you make it?
Yeah, Tuesday at 5:30 would be the district championship at Lindbergh High School.
First game's at 11 a.m. What are we doing? What are we doing playing these games at 11 a.m.? Okay, quit complaining. I won't quit complaining. I'll just complain off air to Cody instead. That district, I mentioned Jackson is the 1 seed. Jorge Zoo is the 2 seed. That's how I inevitably see it finishing. I think those 2 teams will meet in the championship. Seckman is the 3 seed. Oakville's at 4. Notre Dame is 5. Lindbergh at 6. Fox at 7. Melville at 8. So the Notre Dame girls are the 5 seed. They'll be playing Oakville March 6th at 5 p.m. So you can watch the back-to-back Notre Dame and Jackson play there. And I don't know. I think that they can very easily beat Oakville in that game. Oakville, I don't know how we got here to where the seeding is that way, but Notre Dame's solid. They have a good inside game, decent shooting on the outside. Kraft, Mia Panton, very good players from the perimeter. And then something I mentioned earlier with my little asterisks on the regular season being over. Still, as of now, Jackson and Notre Dame are going to be playing each other tonight when you're probably listening to this, Monday at 6 p.m. at Notre Dame. So those 2 teams could be playing each other on March 3rd and then also turn around and play each other again on, what would that be, the 8th. So could be an interesting situation. I'm curious to see how this game goes at Notre Dame. It's tough to beat a team multiple times. Jackson went to Notre Dame and beat them early in the season for the championship of the SEMO Conference Tournament. I know Notre Dame's going to be fired up. It's a rivalry game. These 2 teams are usually considered the class of Southeast Missouri and girls' side. So I know Notre Dame's going to be fired up to try to beat them here at their place. And then, let's say Jackson wins that, then you got to try to beat a team 3 times and then twice in a week. which is very, very tough to do. It's tough to do mentally, just like getting over that hump of like, hey, we've already beat these guys. We can just cash it in. You cannot, because it's playoff time. If you cash it in, you might be heading home. So that should be and could be a very, very fun semifinal game there between Jackson and Notre Dame.
Some of you are probably asking yourself, how is Notre Dame Class 4 on the boys' side, Class 6 on the girls' side? You mentioned how we've laid it out, I believe, 2020 or something like that. Misha passed where they have a championship multiplier now. So based on how good you've done the last 5 or 6 years, how far you've advanced in the state bracket determines what class you are placed in the next year. Obviously, Notre Dame girls have been very good the last handful of years, so they are Class 6 based on making it to the Final Four. The boys have not been as good, so that's why they're down in Class 4, but a chance to make a run this year and possibly move up next year.
Yeah, no, the system, I get the system. I know why it's there. It makes sense in a way for the private schools. And it's basically just trying to level out the DeSmits of the world, the Incarnate Words, the St. Joe's Academy in St. Louis of the world, which it does. Those teams are now in like some of the biggest classifications in the state. But the times where it kind of screws you over is when you're, a Notre Dame or a Saxony. Yeah, you get kids from around the area, but you're not getting kids from Canada or, somewhere in Eastern Europe. You're getting kids from whatever, Shawneetown and Oak Ridge or, Oran. So I saw it a few years ago, kind of hurt Saxony. They had like crazy run of super talented teams. They had, like one class that had like 5 girls playing college sports. And then they got moved all the way up to the same district as Jackson. And now they're all the way back down in Class 3. So somewhere that makes kind of size sense for them. So it's good, and it kind of hurts some teams a little bit in the long run whenever you have crazy runs or really, really good classes. Notre Dame, solid team. They're going to be good in the future. They've got very good young talent as well, and they have a lot coming back next year that I really like on the girls' side. And then, like you said, the boys, if they make a Final Four run, they could be bumping up Class 5, maybe back with Cape and Sykestons of the world, maybe worst case scenario for them, maybe Class 6. But it'd be fun. And Notre Dame's another team. They lose like half the school. They have like 10 seniors on the varsity boys team. But they're another team. A lot of really, really talented young guys. A very good JV, very good freshman team. So a lot coming up there. And I haven't mentioned specifically on the boys side, Cody. What are we looking at? You can kind of give the whole overview there on the Class 6, District 1, where Jackson's at.
Yeah, so Jackson, I mentioned the Jackson-Seckman game earlier in the week would determine kind of their seeding. Lindbergh gets the 1. The 2 seed did go to Seckman. Jackson's the 3 there. And then you have Cardinal Ritter, kind of a weird season for them. One of those private schools that hovered around 500 a lot of the year. So Cardinal Ritter is the 4. And then SLU High is the 5. You got Oakville, Melville, Fox to round out there. So talked about it earlier, but the 5th, March 5th, would be their quarterfinals for districts, and then Friday night their semis, and then championship Monday for their districts. As you look at District 1, SLU High is supposed to be the host. They kind of couldn't host 8 schools in one night, so
don't have it there. Simple.
The 1 seed Lindbergh will host their side of the bracket, 2 games, and then the 2 seed now Seckman will host their side of the bracket, 2 games, and then the rest of that, the other 2 nights would be semifinals and championship back at SLU High.
Yeah, and then I guess kind of peeling into the district, it's really anybody's district. This is I expect it to be very competitive, very even, potentially. I mean, let's look at it top to bottom. Lindbergh, they are the 1 seed. It's kind of a transitive property thing. Lindbergh beat Seckman. Seckman beat Jackson. So it's just kind of how we got to seed it out. Lindbergh is good. They're pretty solid. I watched them play the other day against John Burroughs. They dropped a game. John Burroughs is crazy talented. They're good. They're solid. I mean, they're a team that lost quite a bit off last year's team. We saw them play. Well, Jackson played them in the district semifinals last year at Lindbergh. They graduated their I think his name's Sunderland, big like 6'11" center inside. Their best guard, their point guard, graduated as well. So, but they still bounced back, had a good season. Got them at the 1 seed. Seckman. I don't know what to think about the Jackson game against Seckman. It was a shock to me the way it went down. But these are two teams, Jackson and Seckman, I consider to be similar athletically, similar talent-wise. So, I mean, Lindbergh being a championship wouldn't surprise me. Seckman making a championship wouldn't surprise me. Jackson making a championship would not surprise me. And then at the 4 seed, you've got Cardinal Ritter, who is an unknown, I guess you could say. They are bad record-wise. They're under 500. They've played a lot of really good teams. They play a lot of out-of-state teams. Frame of reference, they played at Farmington and blew out Farmington 74-53. So nothing makes sense there. They have won 2 straight. You have it open. What's their? They have gone to the Final Four 5 straight years. All right.
Yeah, not all of the Class 6. Cardinal Ritter hasn't been in Class 6 all of the last 5 years, but they have won 4 of their last 5 state titles. So last year they came into districts with 11 losses. So if that tells you anything, they went on to win state. So a team that could make a run. Yeah, I think that's what you're alluding to.
It does not matter what their record is. I mean, they're talented. They lost a lot. Like that team last year was very talented, and a lot of those guys were seniors. They still bring back some guys that are very talented. I know like Oscar Patterson the fourth was somebody that's maybe the most impressive like looking player for me. They've got good guards that I knew came back from last season's team. So they're the 4 seed, and I mean, they could be in the Final Four in a couple weeks. So it would not surprise me whatsoever. That kind of is the crux of this district. Who knows what's going to happen? And then SLU's going to be, well, they're not going to get the host now, the first round game, but they're a solid team. They're around 500. They have really good players. For any older St. Louis Rams fan, they have Orlando Pace's son on the team. Fun fact. Landon Pace, good player. I don't know. Cody, what's your guess?
Yeah, kind of right there. Should they beat Cardinal Ritter in the quarterfinals, they would host the 1 seed Lindbergh. So it could be an interesting, as Caleb said, you talk about how these are seeded. It has nothing really to do with Misha. All these coaches get in a room. Coach Brownsberger kind of talk this post-game, but yeah, they all kind of get in a room. They meet. They talk about their record, who they've played, who they haven't. Jackson, I believe, only played 2 of these district teams, so it's kind of hard for them to say, hey, we should be higher after just losing to Seckman. But you mentioned Lindbergh having it. So the coaches kind of hash it out and where they should be seated, and then all the coaches vote, similar to like the Christmas tournament, conference tournament, stuff like that. So, yeah, I could see, as you said, any of those top 4 winning it. Could definitely see Jackson playing a little bit better than they did against Seckman.
I think there's going to be a little bit of extra motivation there. Maybe an extra motivation from Coach Toma also a little bit. I don't know. Yeah. What do you what do you think, Cody? Let's call a shot here. Are we going to be homers? Is Jackson going to win the district?
Yeah, I could maybe see Jackson making it to the district championship. Would be tough to beat either Lindbergh, Cardinal Ritter, whoever comes out of that, or SLU High hosting the game. So would probably have to give the edge to the top of that bracket. But I'm not sure. Jackson could definitely play with any of these teams.
I'm going to be a homer. I'm going to say Jackson revenge over Cardinal Ritter in the district title game. Cardinal Ritter goes 25% from the field, and Jackson wins, and then goes and plays probably somebody else really, really good over in District 2. District 2, I guess you can kind of allude to that a little bit. District 2 in Class 6 for the Indians is, I believe, all public schools. It's led by Marquette at the top. Yep. Was that a good year? That's a team that Jackson faced in the regular season last year. They have a good inside-out game. They have a really good point guard, really good big man. And I don't know. Whoever comes out of District 1, I think, might be the favorite over the District 2 team, but you never know. We'll get there when we get there. But the District 1 team, if you are, since we're talking about Jackson and all these District 1 teams, like you mentioned earlier, Cody, Misha does it now. Another thing, if you don't know, I think that was just last year, wasn't it, to where they started doing no more neutral site games?
Yeah, the top team hosts.
Yeah, so like when I played, We played our sectional at like Northwest High School against Chaminade. We played a quarterfinal at Lindenwood. They've played at like Jeffco, places like that. So yeah, if you are Jackson, if you're Cape, if you're Notre Dame, if you're Saxony, and you win your district, then you will be hosting a quarterfinal game with the opportunity to go to the Final Four. So that is huge. That's a huge advantage. Making those teams who are, I'm just going to guess, all from St. Louis you'd be playing, make them make the drive down here, 1.5, 2 hours, whatever it is. I know as a Jacksonian, as a person who does the radio, Cody and I, we're the ones making the trips to St. Louis a lot of times. So it'd be fun to make one of those teams have to come down here and play. And so that might be the case. I guess we can look at that briefly. Like I said, over on the boys' side, Marquette's the 1 seed in Class 6 District 2. I definitely like them to come out of that district. Just as a quick guess, you can say on the girls' side, Class 6 District 2, Rolla is the 1 seed. Rolla's had a very good year. They're 22-4. You got Eureka, who's a consistent force in that district as well. That district will be played at Lafayette, so definitely closer to Eureka. They'll have the home court advantage if they are in a championship against Rolla. So that will be something to monitor potentially if the Indian girls get out. Class 5. Cody, could you pull up Class 5? So like I said, District 1, if you're the boys, I like Sykeston at the moment. They will have to go on the road. But I know that Class 5 District 2, Cody, is pretty loaded with talent over there.
Yeah, Webster Groves is the 1. You have Vianney as the 2. St. Mary's Southside, who Sykeston did play, as the 3 seed. So pretty good district over there.
And a chance for, if you are Sykeston coming out, a chance for some revenge maybe. Vianney is hosting their district. So I think it would, even though they're at home, it would still be a little bit of an uphill battle, I think, against Webster Groves for them. But if Vianney comes out and Sykeston comes out, last year, Sykeston, number 1 team in state, rolling, just crushing everybody, has to go on the road to Vianney for that state tournament game. And, Vianney in their home court, small gym up there, got hot, making everything from 3, kind of put it on Sykeston. So if you're a Sykeston fan, maybe a little bit of chance for some revenge. Get Vianney down at the field house, and it's a tough place to win. Cody and I were there, watched Jackson get blown out a couple weeks ago. So it is a very, very tough place to win. So we could potentially be seeing some really, really good matchups there if we get into, for the teams around here get out of districts.
Right, yeah. So classes 1 through 4, you have 16 districts. So they have to play a sectional game to get to state quarterfinals. But in class 5 and 6, there's only 8 districts on the boys' side. So you only have to win 1 game after districts to make it to state.
Yep. So yeah, pretty cool setup. There's a lot of teams, like we said. I mean, in the smaller classes especially, there's a lot of teams that I think could really make a run. But then some of the local teams definitely with a chance to make a run, get out of districts, and then potentially, go further and get into the Final Four. And is the Final Four, is that back at Mizzou now?
Yeah, it's back at Mizzou this year. I don't have the exact dates, but we'll talk about that more next week.
Yeah, but it has been at Springfield up until this point. So back at Mizzou. Cody, you got anything else on the basketball postseason side of things? Anything like that?
Pretty much it. Exciting times. Exciting week as everybody gets into district play.
Yeah, and then I've got the results from the state wrestling tournament. Jackson sent, I believe, 7 boys and 1 girl to the state wrestling championships. The Indians are in class 4 on the boys' side. There's 4 so they're 4 out of 4. And on the girls' side, there's 2 classes, and Jackson is in the class 2 on the girls' side. And I'll start at 285. Bryson Wessel won the district, so he came in wrestling well. He finished 4th in state at 285, so good result there for Bryson. He's had a great year. Things have kind of been progressing recruiting-wise on the football side as well. He's starting to get some attention, so he's having a heck of a run right now. Joe Amore, another Indians football player, he finished 4th in his weight class at 175 in class 4. At 132, Cade King on the boys' side was the highest finisher for the Indians. He won his third place match, finishing third there. And at 120, Grady Rice got onto the podium there, finished sixth at 120. And then over on the girls' side, Kaylee Milam was the lone state finisher for the girls. And she had a heck of a run all season long. Phenomenal year. She pinned everybody through the SEMO Conference tournament. She won her district as well. She falls to a very good undefeated wrestler from Camdenton, Abigail Fulsang. So Kaylee Milam in the championship finishes second over on the Indians girls wrestling side. Huge moment for her, a new sport kind of on the girls side of things. Girls wrestling has not been around very long. Not a storied history, obviously, on the Indians girls side. Only a few years in the program, but Kaylee Milam kind of picking up the flag and is really, trying to cement herself as one of the best girls wrestlers here at Jackson ever. She's got another year in school, so congrats to her. Finishing second, so a lot of great finishes there on the wrestling side, as always, the Indians wrestling program. One of, if not the best, in Southeast Missouri, and then always, a team that sends a lot of people to state, and they finish pretty well there at state this year. Got a lot of people on the podium. So, Cody, anything else you want to hit on before we head out?
That's it.
So, thank you guys all for listening. As always, Cody and I will be available to talk to you some more on the radio, 104.7. I believe I'll just have the Jackson game against Oakville. So, on Wednesday? Mm-hmm. We'll be on the road at Seckman High School playing Oakville. First round of districts.
5:15 game.
5:15, so I'll hopefully be on air around 5 or so, making the trip up there a little early. We mentioned always Ryan Winkler with our same station. He'll have the game on the radio, 95.7 Cape Radio. As of now, I don't know all the streaming situation. I know if you are trying to watch a game, they're going to be streamed through Misha TV. Misha TV has a website you can look up. They have an app for phones. They have an app for smart TVs. So if you can get logged in, purchase the games, they're $10.70 or something like that for each game. So have that in mind. If you don't want to pay, listen to us talk a little bit of basketball. So we'll have the Jackson games, all district tournament, as long as they are in it. Ryan Winkler on 95.7 Cape Radio.
We'll have Cape would be at 8:30 on Wednesday.
Okay, so late game for Cape, for them. And because they're going to be playing all their games in one day. So optimistically 8:30 for Cape Central, maybe closer to 9. We'll see. So yeah, check him out on the radio there, or make the trip. Farmington, not too far. Go check them out. Taking on Festus. It's been a fun basketball season. We are here at the very, very end of it. Everybody's just one loss away from their season being over with. So this is a great time of year, very fun time of year. Go check out some good basketball. Go to the games. It's cheaper than watching them at home. Go to some of the games. Check them out. It'd be a lot of fun. A lot of good games coming up here in District Play. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff to see all the content, see all the videos we have coming up here throughout this basketball postseason. So for Cody, I'm Caleb. We thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.